Good. Let me ask for each of the three alumni entrepreneurs, talk a little bit about the rewards and downsides of running your own show. What are some of the upsides? How many people here in the audience are interested in starting a business, being an entrepreneur? Okay. So why don't you talk a little bit about, what are some of the rewards, the great parts about being an entrepreneur, and what are some of the downsides? Again, we'll start with Lenny.
So the great rewards are, for me, is the flexibility. It's the ability to do whatever I want, whenever I want. I want to go on vacation for a month, I could do it. I want to come to work late, I could do it. I want to, call all the shots, make all the decisions. I don't have to worry about someone else telling me, no, you can't do this. And really being able to see the results of my own labor, seeing the results of good decisions and seeing results of the bad decisions. On the other hand, the drawbacks is it's very challenging. At the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, I'm responsible for everything bad that goes wrong. Someone doesn't show up to work, more likely than not, I'm the one covering. Could be on a Saturday, could be on a Sunday. So sometimes you feel like you're chained in and you're jailed and you can't run away because you're so committed to the business and you're emotionally committed. So maybe even though from the side it doesn't look like the best decision, or maybe at a certain point you should quit, you keep going.
So I guess for me, the thing that really, the plus side of being an entrepreneur is that it gives you this opportunity to actually reach out and touch the world, to actually impact and change the world. And I mean this in a really particular way. When I was in graduate school thinking about what I wanted to do, I saw these great companies doing these doing this amazing technology research and development, like Microsoft, IBM. The things they have in their patent portfolios make a lot of the technology that we use today look obsolete. And I marveled at how almost none of this ever made it into products, even though there was, in many cases, very clear monetization strategies for it. And the problem was the companies that were really in a position to create these things were almost never in a position to be able to actually bring them to market. It would be too disruptive to their existing businesses. They weren't set up in a way to make spin-offs, things like that. And it was really devastating. The beauty of running your own startup is that it gives you this opportunity to take really transformative things. If you end up with one, it gives you the opportunity to take something really transformative and bring it out, have it really impact people's lives in a way that would be almost impossible with existing businesses. The downside of that, though, is that the idea of reaching out that way, of creating something, of impacting people, is a very seductive one, and it can really pull you into thinking that, gosh, whatever I have is really the thing, it's the best thing, it's the greatest thing. And, sometimes it really isn't. And the level of devastation that you feel when you've created something and you find people really don't want it as much as you thought, or don't want it in the form that you thought, is much harder than, you just work on a project and your boss tells you move into a new project. It can become, even if you have a whole team of people below you, it really becomes part of you, I think, in a very deep way. The other downside is, very much like what Lenny was saying, the buck stops with you. There's no one else you can blame when things fail. There's no one else you can blame when things go wrong. And that's a really scary place for a lot of people.
I'll start with the negative stuff because there's more negative things than positive things. If you heard the song by Jay-Z, 99 Problems, if you want 99 problems, start a business. To be honest, it's not an easy journey. It looks like an easy journey, but it's not. Between the pressure, between the criticism, and then between people always trying to come out and challenge you and get you. I mean, you're talking about business, you're talking about money, you're talking about competitors. There's always going to be somebody coming for your head at any time. And when you're sleeping, there's somebody working. So you have to go to sleep knowing that somebody's trying to catch up to you at somewhere around the world. Dealing with different scenarios on a daily basis. I mean, all the problems come your way. You're the one that's solving the problems. You can't ask anybody for help, or you can't phone a friend like in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It's really your decision. And at one time you may be dealing with problems in accounting, problems in legal, problems in a client taking too long to pay. then you have a payroll coming up. I mean, there's so many different variables in running a business that it really keeps you up at night. And that's why the journey is not an easy journey. And if you're going to do it, it's really committing your life to it. It's like you're marrying your business because there's no other way to do it. This isn't a 9-to-5 thing. This isn't one of those things that you can do on the side while you have a job. This is literally marrying whatever you're doing and being so obsessed with it that it keeps you up at night. Because any other way just does not work. On the positive side, it's your own world that you're creating. It's your own culture. Our culture in our office is a pretty loose culture. We have a lot of fun, but at the same time, we get a lot of work done. I can say that the people that work for the company aren't miserable every morning waking up and having to go to a corporate office. We've actually had people that worked at corporate companies leave and come over to us just because the company culture was so much better. It's your show. You get to call the shots. And it's what allows you to wake up in the morning and actually have a reason to wake up in the morning, rather than just being somebody who's working for a big company and just going on with life. So I would say that's the positive thing.
Good. Thanks. And Carlos, you want to talk a bit about some of the highs and lows of the angel investing world, and maybe a lot of people at Pace study finance. Maybe your perception of how that might differ from a typical commercial finance type of a job. So some of the highs and lows with angel investing, and perhaps how that might differ from more traditional corporate banking type of work.
Well, first of all, I want to add to what the entrepreneurs said about their, the highs and lows of being an entrepreneur. The fundraising process is it's a grueling process. I mean, they're selling themselves out. They're putting themselves out every time they go up, in front of investors, and that must be very difficult. I mean, because more often than not, they will get rejected because the amount of money that's available is not sufficient to fund every company that's requiring funding. So that's something that's difficult, and I take my hat off, to those who do it, and it's my greatest respect. So it's not easy. In terms of angel investing, I mean, you're on the other side. I mean, you're analyzing, you're playing. I mean, angels play mostly with their money. We do have a fund, as I said, that's sort of like a VC fund. That's somebody else's money. So if I'm playing with my money, I can be a lot more flexible. If I lose it, it's okay. It was my decision, and I'm fine with that. When you're playing with a fund, that's a little bit more of a high pressure situation because they do expect a certain return, which was promised when the fund was developed. And if you're not, if the investments that were made without money are not looking good, some of the companies are going, out of business, then it could be a stressful situation. But overall, I would say it's much more interesting than doing a day-to-day job in a financial institution because you're always looking at new ideas. That hopefully will change the world, and so it's a fun job. It's not even a job; it's just pure joy, I would say.
And so, and